Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to my channel. I'm Real King. If this is your first time, if you're a returning subscriber, welcome back to my channel. Yes, baby boy, back at it again. And in this video, I have something a little different. Yes, it's going to be the birthday video, of course. Now, I had started this video a few hours ago when I was out and about, but I was outside and my phone was overheating, even though it wasn't even that hot outside. I don't know why, but it was overheating. And in the middle of my video, it basically stopped it. So I figured, okay, never mind. I'll just go ahead and do it when I get home. So I made it. Big 5-0, y'all. First thing I did around midnight is I got up, or I stood up, and I prayed and I thanked the Most High for blessing me with another year to be here. And, so that's how I basically started. And then today, because I had said in a previous video that I was going to have a surprise in this video. Unfortunately, there's no surprise going to be in this video. So got up kind of late because I went to bed late last night. So I slept in a little bit, got up, went and donated. And then, well, the forecast said it was supposed to be getting some rain in the afternoon, early afternoon. None of that happened. It was just heavy overcast for a while, and it wasn't bad. So I went to donate. That was the original plan. Once I was done donating, I was going to go and get my surprise for my video, which was going to be going to the cigar store and picking out like one or two good cigars, something that was kind of more high-end, kind of more special for my birthday. I had seen some cigars when I had went over there a time or so ago that I wanted. They were a little bit more expensive, they were more than like $16, $17. And so I kind of considered those more of a specialty moment type of cigar purchase because they're kind of high-end price-wise. So I get there, very excited, and it was closed. I was like, oh. And I didn't even come prepared. Like I was expecting to, I just wasn't, I was expecting to smoke one of those. So I didn't bring a smoke with me. So I'm like, oh shoot. So I came right on back home. Well, I came back this way. Yeah, I did come back home. So I was debating on getting myself a meal because I don't order stuff like that anymore, or at all. So I was toggling between Uber Eats and DoorDash to see who had the better deal, and I wanted some Chinese food. And I was looking at a couple of places that I had ordered from before, but it all came down to Panda Express, which I just got done eating. And they had a good special or sale going on. It was special through DoorDash, I believe. It was basically 50% off my order plus like 10% off or something like that, free delivery or something like that. So I ended up getting me the bigger plate, it came with like two sides and 3 entrees. And then I ordered a third entree. And it was very delicious, y'all. Fried rice, lo mein, kung pao chicken, blackened chicken, or was it teriyaki blackened chicken, orange chicken, and Beijing beef is all I got. And so I was scarfing on that, and then I had bought some ice cream for me yesterday, and like 2 small pints. I think yeah. And then so I just got done eating one of those pints, which was Rocky Road. Very delicious. And I washed that down with like two cups of water. So that's what I had today. Now I did end up smoking one of my cigars because when I came back home, I did go and get my cigar. And then I went down the street to my spot that I normally go to, and I smoked my cigar. It was the My Father La Opulencia. I think that's what it's called. Very, very good cigar. Very good cigar. I will definitely be getting more of those at some point. And that was one of my cigars from the subscription pack from Halt Company. So very good. cigar that I got. And so, I mean, it's what you do on your birthday when you are single and kind of living alone or living alone, is you just do what you want to do. I had an enjoyable day. It was overcast, which was really good because it wasn't too windy. It was breezy at times, no rain, at least in my area, and it kept the temperature down. Earlier in the mornings, like when I left, it was a little warmer or humid, but that was about it. So very good day I had today, y'all. Um, and so yeah, so I'm gonna reflect, being that I am 50, which is the silver anniversary. And even though I don't look 50, I don't really feel 50. The aches and silly injuries that I have gotten that have been kind of like lingering over the years, that's literally just because of poor discipline. So if I get back on good discipline and take better care of my body, then I will definitely be feeling a lot more younger than I do and I have been. Also, as I reflect back, I'm like, okay, well, what has really changed? A lot has changed in these past few years. And so when I look back and reflect on, let's say, just the 40s. In the 40s, I was basically ending a lot of my, I don't know what you would call it, like not petty things, but I was ending a lot of I was transitioning out of a stage in my life automatically. My uncle at that time was drinking in my late 30s, because I moved back down here in my late 30s. So late 30s, I was still kind of drinking, and not too much though, and I wasn't doing anything because I had just kind of moved back here. They didn't really know a lot of people, and I was really just trying to get on my work game. And so working really replaced a lot of leisure activities. I think my first year back in 2012, 2013, I was doing a little bit more leisure stuff. Like I was skateboarding more regularly, at least on the weekends. Sometimes if I felt okay enough after work, but I was being more active in that on a more consistent basis. And then I think after I got out of my 30s and I hit my 40s, then everything really kind of changed. The kind of jobs I was working, depending on, where it was at and how, strenuous it was, etc. There was a lot of moving pieces and parts going on in my 40s, to where I was doing things a lot differently. I had to focus more. And I didn't really have the kind of free time that I once did. Be that it was because of my work schedule not permitting it, the kind of work I was doing, or a combination of both. Those things really took a lot of my free time, I know. And then you mix in that coming into the truth and knowledge in 2016, 2017, one or two. That really kind of like tied me up, because I was focused on bettering myself spiritually, getting to know, and know things that were correct, so I didn't have the time really to do a lot of those things. I was kind of still skateboarding a little bit, but it really wasn't. It was fading away. It was kind of fading away quite a bit. I really wasn't skateboarding as much. It was kind of just there. I was doing it a little bit, but not to the extent where I was before, because I wasn't doing a lot of the tricks and things like that, and it was kind of hit or miss. So the 40s were more focused, especially the later 40s. I wasn't doing a lot of stuff, guys. I wasn't hanging out. I remember in my late 30s, the kind of job I was working at, I actually had it. I mean, I was at a point where I was able to, like, I remember getting off of work, we would all either go smoke weed or go drink, or both. We'd go hang out just at random places and just like chop it up after work for like long hours, or we come back to a certain spot and meet up, and then we just chill, whatever. we would go to, the clubs, drink, play pool, dance. I did a lot of dancing and stuff like that. So that really just stopped. And then I look back in my 30s, and the 30s were, it was just like me being young, me being single, bachelor status, because I had my own place and I did what I wanted to do, but I was very much into females back in those days. This was in the early mid 2000s. And I just remember the music, the styles. I was into the kind of dressing, and so the malls were still relevant back then. And it was a big thing to go to the malls and go shop for clothes, shoes, hats, whatever. That was a big deal, and I was a part of that culture that was into that. Going to the clubs, like I said, I danced a lot, so going out, dancing and talking to women, and just having a good time. Staying out mad late, ordering food to soak up the alcohol, and because you were too high, and this and that. Like, those were the things that I was doing in my 30s. 20s were the beginning of all of that. My early to mid 20s, I was constantly developing and getting in the rhythm of what was to come in my 30s. I was really into skateboarding, so I wasn't doing much of anything else. It really wasn't until I got into my late 30s or late 20s when I kind of started mixing other things in with my skateboarding. But skateboarding was what I was doing in my 20s. I was really focused in that and on that. I had a girlfriend at one point in time, maybe a couple of them, and I wanted them to be serious, but they weren't. It wasn't mutual on anything, and so after I got out of the relationships, I was like, cause I'm always confident about myself, and I'm just like, okay, no biggie. And then I just remember, going and finding more females. That's really all I was doing in my 20s and in my 30s, at least in my early 30s, was just trying to, get females, living that promiscuous life and, doing that, no real direction because I was young and, doing what I needed to do to get by, and that's kind of how it was, guys. And so it's just an interesting thing to see when you get to this age, because when you're in your younger years, guys, you're living it up, you're living fast, nothing else matters. Like, that's just part of being young, this generation, the generation before, like, it's all the same. It's all a part of that. Like, you're not focused on a lot of seriousness and things like that. Like, you're in tune enough, but not that much. You're too busy enjoying being young and, experimenting with life and the things that come with it, good and bad. There's all those things that go into being young. I remember when I was in my younger years, I remember, hearing about certain events. I remember the Oklahoma City bombing. I remember stuff on the news about what's that guy? The Unabomber. I remember the desert war. I mean, I remember these things because they were consumed in the media and the news. So now, was I in tune with it so much? No. I only saw stuff like this when I was at other people's place or wherever I was somewhere using a public or a television of some sort that wasn't mine. So like, if it was me and in my dwellings, I'm watching skate videos, I'm watching wrestling, MTV, that kind of stuff. I'm just watching whatever, kind of whatever other people are watching, stuff like that. Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, stuff like I know about all that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I was more into that, and I was not at home as much, so I wasn't keeping up with the Joneses. I wasn't keeping up with a lot of TV programs and episodes and current affairs in the news and stuff like that. I mean, here and there, yeah, I hear about it, but it wasn't something that I was consumed in. You know what I'm saying? And then of course times were different back then. You know, it was more personable. We didn't have, you know, social media, the internet. We didn't have like, you know, the sites and, you know, all that kind of stuff that we have now. So it was more of a personal, like you go to meet people, you link up like that, you know. There was a thing called like, well, I think maybe there's no such thing as blind dates anymore for obvious reasons, but there were blind dates back then, you know, saying like, you know, so meeting people, you know, you went to the mall, you had a pen and a pad and you click numbers and you write them on people's hands, you know, that was kind of what it was. And so I was into all of that. Like I wasn't, and so now in my later years, I noticed in my 40s, especially when I came into the truth and knowledge, everything was more serious. I was more focused on my spiritual relationship with the Most High and changing ways and learning, you know, like I said, you know, and unlearning things, you know. So I was cutting off the fat, a lot of fat. I was trimming a lot of fat away, a lot of things that weren't unnecessary for to my spiritual growth and journey that I've been on. So those are and so if it was contrary to my faith and my spiritual following, then I wasn't doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like I used to go hard in the paint, especially on my born day, you know, with barbecuing. And what was my favorite thing to eat for barbecue? Pork ribs. They just work. So those are some things. I mean, my dietary laws and uh, um, following is much different now. I don't eat pork. There's a lot of stuff I don't eat. You know what I mean? I don't eat like a lot of seafood. I don't eat any seafood per se. I do eat scaled fish, but crab, lobster, you know, shrimp, that kind of stuff. No more of that. So I mean, I've been clean of that for many years now. And so when you start segregating yourself and, you know, from a lot of this extra stuff, well, a lot of things of like, you know, in a careless way, from a careless time, you're just like, it leaves you kind of like with not a lot, as it may seem to the average person. But you understand and you know what your journey and what you're trying to accomplish and what you're doing. And so I just noticed that I've gotten way more mature and way more caring and involved with life more. Things have slowed a lot down because I'm different, you know. My maturity and responsibilities have been in a way that I've had to focus more. So when you're focusing, you're slowing down, you're paying attention. You don't really do that when you're living a fast life, when you're being young and just doing whatever, living day by day, kind of living reckless, and you know, you don't have any other dependents and it's just you know what I'm saying? You'll take L's all day long, you know, and it's not a big deal for the most part. So yeah, I just noticed that, you know, I've gotten way more serious and focused, and that's been good for me, you know. So now I'm doing things different for myself, you know, that is actually longevity based. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking about things in a bigger perspective. I am challenging things and people more for the better, for my knowledge and for my better behalf. And so I'm learning things in a different way, and I'm just like, and in some ways, I wish I would have learned this sooner, but everything happens for a reason. And I am fortunate and blessed to be here another day for a reason. And so these are chances. I look at these as when I'm here to see another day, it's another chance that I have been blessed with to do things right, to make the necessary changes, that I need to make for my spiritual life journey. And different things matter to me that they didn't matter to me before. You know, a lot of possessions and worldly involvements and things like that, they don't impress, or they're not a concern of mine or an interest in me in mine at all. You know, like I said, you know, I am more interested in my health. You know, eating right, because I know better now. You know, when I was young, it was fast food. I did cook, but I didn't cook much. I was eating anything and everything, whatever I wanted, I ate it. And so now, and even though I am healthy, you know, I choose to just, I'm learning more now because I'm slowing down and I'm focusing and paying attention. And so now I hear and I see these reports and the concerns, the health concerns that go with certain things that you do, you don't do, you consume, you don't consume, and things of that nature. And so, with all of that, you know, I'm just making different choices and stuff like that. And so, it's really good because, you know, I'm being mentally prepared for my journeys in life. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to be adding all of what I've been in those good ways to more in a kind of a young way that I was, kind of like carefree, um, and I'm adding that to more of a mature and adult and responsible way and stuff like that. And so when I go travel, I'm not going to be afraid or timid to go meet people because that young part of me is going to be there. Where you know I'm sociable with anybody. You know I can do this. You know. When you don't do certain things for a while, you know, sometimes you can kind of lose or forget, you know, certain things and stuff like that, which it can be easily done. But, you know, just being confident, you know, and not being afraid to ask questions or to ask for help or advice or whatever the case may be. And so I'm just really looking forward to, what else that the Most High has for me to be doing and stuff like that. And I'm not perfect. I still got a lot of work to do, but you know, He's got me here. He's blessed me to be here for a reason. And I mean, I'm blessed. I'm glad that I'm able to see 50 years old. I'm in good condition. You know, I feel good, and I feel like I have a lot of energy. And it's just not, you know, age ain't nothing but a number. You know, it really is. So, you know, there's no such thing, you know, 50, a person that's 50, what's old? You know, I was at the plasma place and there was a conversation that was going on about old. You know, this one 20-year-old kid was like, you know, talking to a bunch of us older heads. And there were some people that were in their early 30s and maybe 40s. But, you know, the guy was like, you know, 31 is old. And I wasn't chiming into this. It wasn't really my conversation. They were actually talking to other people around me. But I'm hearing this and I'm just like, and other people would chime in. They were like, nah, bruh. They're like 30 is young, and it is young. Cause I'm just thinking when they were talking this stuff, I was like thinking back. I'm like, man, when I was in my 30s, they wouldn't consider me old back then. But again, my looks is what contributed a lot to that. But still, as a 30-year-old, you know, you're good to go to the clubs. You're really just kind of starting life out in your 20s, in your early 20s, and stuff like that. So you don't really start, you know, for a lot of us, you know, it really starts being enjoyable in your mid 20s all the way through to I'd say your late 30s, really, you know, depending on your situation and stuff like that, to be honest. But it's been a great day, guys. I've had an enjoyable time and experience. And I don't have much going on for the rest of the day. I did basically all I wanted to do today for the most part. I got my Shabbat later on, so, you know, I'll be attending that. And, you know, just enjoying the day now. I'm sure in the next hour or so, a ton of fireworks are going to be going off for a few hours and stuff like that. It'll be very interesting to see how long these guys do these fireworks. Now, I'd say about 4 or 5 years ago, when I first moved over in this area, then people was popping the fireworks off, like literally like from the nighttime on the 4th all the way through the morning of the next day. Like, I mean, like the late morning, mid to late morning. You know what I mean? Like, it was crazy, like for reals. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. But they've been kind of like not going too long as far as what I've been noticing the last couple of years. We'll see how it goes though. It don't bother me either way. You know, I'm not into all that, so it's whatever. But I've already started my applying for remote jobs. So that's been going good, and I'm going to be doing some more of that. So this is my last weekend. I go back to work on Monday. And so yeah, so anyways, guys, that's my video. Like, comment, subscribe if you guys haven't already. Also hit the notification bell so that way you guys are notified when I am uploading my videos, guys. Y'all enjoy the rest of the day. I'm Real King back at it again, y'all.